Roméo Dallaire is a retired Canadian Lieutenant General. He served as Force Commander for the United Nations Assistance Mission for Rwanda prior to and during the 1994 genocide. General Dallaire, good to see you as always. Thank you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you, sir. I remember the last time we spoke, if I remember correctly, was the first day of this war, about nearly 3 weeks ago. As you watch 3 weeks later, all that has happened since, the number of civilians, for example, targeted and killed, what are you thinking?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm thinking that I'm putting some of my work in question, because I just back from Berlin, where I'm on a commission for creating the principles of lasting peace. So now that Europe is no more a secure backdrop for us to be able to build peace around the world, that has got me exceptionally worried. However, what does come by my mind continuously is the fact that the slaughter going on in Ukraine and us on the outside reminds me just too much of what happened nearly 30 years ago in Rwanda, where nobody really came in to help, and people just continued to die, to suffer, and I ended up with over 800,000 dead and nearly 4 million refugeed and internally displaced.
Do you think that, do you think that that's what's happening here? Obviously, it's not completely analogous, but do you have that sense again that sort of this is happening and nobody is going in?
I believe that fundamentally, the day that the Russians crossed the border is the day that we failed in the democracies of the world to be able to find a solution to prevent a tyrant from actually being able to, or ultimately reverting to the use of force, and in fact do it in such a way that he is destroying such a significant nation state and its people. That was the first reaction to what happened. Since then, what we're watching is an attrition war going on between the Russians and the Ukrainian people. And so the question is that if we had been walking across the western border of Ukraine at the same time, would Ukraine be a worse battle zone than what we're seeing now? Would, in fact, we would have seen a stoppage of the advance or the movement of the Russians, and a standoff that could ultimately lead to maybe some sort of separation of Ukraine, possibly, but a standoff that could then re-enter a negotiation and discussion. The tactical nuclear threat, yes, was there, but that tactical nuclear threat in Ukraine could have gone strategic, possibly, but it's a threat. Meanwhile, we're slaughtering in front of the cameras.
I just want to touch on what you said there a little bit more, because if I understand correctly, you're talking about the idea of direct engagement, and the leader of this country and its allies, the leaders of our allies, have insisted that doing so, any direct engagement with Russia, would equate to the start of World War III because of the possession of nuclear weapons, as you just referenced. How do you respond to that positioning?
Well, that would have been interesting too during the Cold War, as we had nuclear weapons, and I was deployed out there with many of my colleagues in Germany at the time. And the first actions was not anticipated to be necessarily the use of even tactical nuclear weapons, although that was a possibility. But we were there and standing off against them. Right now, what I'm seeing is that that threat has overridden our sense of commitment to a nation state that is being treated and possibly will suffer horrific losses for its future, because either we've stayed on the periphery and we hope the economics will break the will of Putin. Maybe the attrition warfare will break the will of the Russian people like it did in Afghanistan. What we're counting on, however, and what I'm counting on, is that the Ukrainians are able to sustain that attrition warfare longer than the Russian army can. And in so doing, we might still see a potential standoff or resolution. But ultimately, you know, in 1991, we put over 600,000 people into Kuwait because there was a lot of oil. We put nobody into Rwanda, nobody into Darfur of consequence. And yeah, we're committing a lot of effort to try to wear down the will of the Russian people economically. But meanwhile, that slaughter is still there. And I really question the ethical framework we're using in this conflict.
Do you think our resistance to direct engagement will come to be something we regret?
How can we not regret potentially seeing Ukraine fall back into Russia, but this time to be absorbed in a far more deliberate way into the Russian hegemony that they created in their sphere? And what then prevents in the next few years another launch of another assault? I'm not sure that the economic scenario that we've got has the legs to keep us away from sustaining it to the extent that there would be absolutely no more will to want to engage in other countries, even though some of them are in NATO.
Okay, General Dallaire, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much. As always, I appreciate your insights.
Yeah, it's absolutely horrific.
It's hard to watch.
It makes me sick.
Has it been hard
Thanks.
to watch?
It's been hard to watch because I'm just watching people getting slaughtered and pounded and the country destroyed, and I'm watching. And I was there 30 years ago doing exactly the same thing, and I got the exact same response. Nobody came.
It's frustrating.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, General Dallaire. Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.